To you by Ahmed Khalid and Ahmed Al Hamamsi from Middle East. Our Global S&OP Community podcast mission is to build a global community from supply chain, marketing, trade marketing, sales and finance all over the world, where everyone's voice could be heard and listened. Every week, we host a new episode with great thought leader in the S&OP industry. We believe that one word, one story, or one conversation could open up the light in the screen of your consciousness and you'll never be the same again. We discuss hot and trending topics with our subject matter experts by asking the right questions that uncover their valuable experience in our show. You can visit our website ahmedkhaled.co. Stay tuned every week with our Global S&OP Community podcast.
Hello, and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where you're tuning in from. Thank you everybody for joining in the Global S&OP podcast today. Me and my great host, Ahmed Khalid. We're having a great episode, and of course, as you know, this is the knowledge you'll not find in books. We are hosting, of course, global thought leaders, not only in supply chain and marketing and trade marketing and finance, where everyone's voice should be listened to and heard. We're trying to give you and to the audience a lot of values. They are sharing knowledge, as you said, we don't find the book, values from our global thought leaders. And today we have a very special episode, and let's welcome our beautiful co-host Ahmed Khalid from KSA. Ahmed, how are you doing?
Thank you, Hamamsi. I'm doing very good. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. And as Hamamsi said, if you can let us know where are you from, so we can jump quickly and send you some greetings for you and your beautiful country. And let's jump into our topic today. And I think our topic today will be away a little bit from the core of S&OP, but it will not be far from the business itself. Our topic today will be around the way that we can solve business problems. What could be the best design thinking that we can use to solve any chronic business problem? Our mind, if you will think a little bit, our mind is wired and designed to jump into acting and solving any problem in a very corrective way. But the question now that we need to ask ourselves, do we need to spend, or do we spend the real time or needed time just studying all the contributed factors for this problem? This question you should ask yourself. Are we investing the time to solve the problem in a preventative, not a corrective way only, so it will never appear again? Are we using the available resources that we have to solve this problem in the optimal way? Or are we jumping into a quick solution regardless and move the wheel of the business? That's why today we have two thought leaders in the management consultancy field. And they will reveal all of these secrets behind their design thinking and system thinking to solve all those kind of problems. Our thought leaders today are...
Exactly, Ahmed. Today we are lucky we have great guests with us. Let's start with Radu. Radu Palamariu. Radu, of course, is the managing director of Alcott Global, and he's global head of supply chain and logistics practice for years. He's a global speaker on latest technologies of supply chain, Radu has Leaders in Supply Chain podcast, one of the top business podcasts all around the world. He's been named in the top 3 global supply chain influencers, and you can just follow Radu on LinkedIn. He has more 200,000 plus followers on LinkedIn, and he's always about talking about values in supply chain and in business in general. So we welcome and we're happy to have Radu Palamariu with us, Palamariu, today in the show.
Chapeau to Radu. Thank you so much, Hamamsi. And our next global thought leader, Shereen Mosallam. Shereen Mosallam is the general manager of Symbios consultancy company. Shereen, she has a staggering experience in the supply chain. She joined the American University in Cairo as instructor and consultant for quality and Six Sigma. She introduced mainly Six Sigma certification and training by Quality America to the Egyptian market, especially in the cooperation with just the AUC, American University in Cairo. She delivered many trainings worldwide and led deployment in several countries like UK, UAE, KSA, Morocco, Jordan, and Egypt, and finally Romania. She consulted many well-known and trained many well-known companies worldwide. Companies like Pfizer, Ericsson, Leone Wiring Systems, Miracle Carrier, Cadbury, Edita, Americana Group, Etsolat, Olympic Group, and finally Schneider. Besides being a well-known supply chain, for sure, supply chain keynote speaker in the Middle East. So, may I ask you, please, to welcome with us our global thought leaders for today, Dr. Shereen and Dr. Radu. And before we just welcome them, as usual, let's give them the beautiful applause. Hello, Radu. Hello, Shereen.
Hello,
Great to have you today.
Thank you, Shereen. Yeah, we try to welcome you as much as possible with some round of applause.
No, that's really nice. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Very positive.
Thank you
feel
so
like
much.
something nice is happening to me.
Some positive vibes, yes.
It's a pleasure hosting you today, Radu and Shereen. And as we spoke, as usual, we have a great values to be driven today, and we have great audience. If you allow us, before jumping into just the core discussion,
can we welcome the audience,
both all as our audience together? So we have our friend Felix. I think that all the before audience they disappeared. I'm not sure, there is a technical challenge, but Hamamsi, if you can see
Felix, I can see Felix here. Yeah, Felix, I think Felix here is saying great discussion. We have Yasser Abdelmanam. He's saying hi. I think Yasser from Egypt. We have Muhammad Hajazi. Hi everyone. Thank you, Muhammad, for joining us. I have Mamoush Muhammad from Kenya also. Hi Mamoush, thank you for joining us. Carla Wolf from New Jersey. Thank you, Carla, for joining us. We have Jocelyn Lee from USA, California. Thank you, Jocelyn,
Thank you.
also for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
so
much.
Muhammad Sherbini also. Yeah.
Yes.
We lost some
beautiful people. So
yeah.
So just I think that there is some challenge from my side, but hopefully it will come. So thank you guys, and we are here for you. So we are here for you. So just let's start our discussion and move the wheel today. And let's start by the first question in our mind. How to deal? Can you hear me, guys? No.
Yeah, there is a little bit of delay in your, I think, from the internet. Hello? But sure, Radu and Shereen, are you with us?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, I can hear you, but
We
I
are
couldn't
right.
Yeah,
hear the
yeah.
question.
So I think, of course, as Ahmed maybe is having some technical problems today. So let's jump to the first question: how to deal with a chronic problem? Of course, from both your experience, you have years of experience in consultancy, so we can hear a lot of stories and a lot of problems for sure you faced through your career. Tell us from your experiences. We start with ladies. Let's start with ladies first. How to deal with a chronic problem, Shereen?
Acknowledge you have a problem, as simple as that. Basic
That's
things that people
yes,
should admit they have a problem, because this is the
true.
idea. When you have a challenge, because consultancy, when you try to help people to be better, so first thing, you need people to know that they have a problem and acknowledge they have a problem. So it's not easy, by the way, because most of
True.
people think we are doing well, we are doing great, and sometimes they don't see the problems. They suffer from the symptoms, but they get complacent with the problems. Okay, so to get them to acknowledge there is a chronic problem, admit it, quantify it, see how much money they are losing because of it, what are the
Yeah.
opportunities, and then things happen. Okay, so Radu, please.
Yeah, yeah. Radu, if you have anything
Thank
to
you.
add for this brilliant answer from Shireen.
Yeah, no, it's spot on. And I remember doing a sales training some time back, and part of the sales qualification, right? I mean, depending on which sales training and which sales methodology, ultimately they all have, whether it's Spin or Sandler or God knows, right? They all have ultimately what's the problem, what's the pain. And to Shireen's
Yeah,
point, helping the client quantify that and put a finger, okay, how much is it costing you? Very simply, right? Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? How long has it been a problem? I mean, these are questions, I mean, for those watching that are from on the consulting side, obviously it's a question that you need to figure out with the client so that you kind of get to a point, okay, so this is the problem, this is the pain that it is causing you, this is how long it's been going on. Mr. Client, do you want to do something about it or not? Because still that point is important. And there is a joke, a kid going to school, right? Let's call
yeah,
him Johnny, going to school. And then the teacher says, hey, Johnny, you should do a good deed.
yeah.
And then he says, okay, I'll do a good deed, no problem. So the second day he comes back and the teacher asks him, so did you do a good deed, Johnny? It will make you feel better. And then he says, yes, I did. And how was it? It was very difficult. And
Yeah.
the teacher was puzzled, like, why was it difficult, Johnny? And he said, well, because I helped this old lady cross the street. And I did my
Yeah.
best, I looked left, right, close the street. It was very difficult. Like, why? Because she didn't want to cross the street, teacher. So
Yes.
ultimately, right? I mean, yes, the pain is there, yes, but ultimately, still, as consultants, we also need to be able to identify, do they actually want to do something about it? Because if they don't, with all the willingness, you can't help people that don't want to be helped. So I think that's maybe another very common sense, but sometimes, from our desire to do good or to close the sale, whatever it might be, right? We might miss the point that, yeah, maybe you just, you're okay doing the same as you were doing before, even if it's painful for you.
I
Definitely.
totally, definitely. Ahmad, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, because I tried even to reflect on myself. Sometimes when the problem just attack us, you will see our mind is just wired to find a quick solution. Okay, so we don't spend that time, the quality time, just to solve this problem in a very preventative way. You will see when the problem is just being there, people, they're just trying to find the solution, just to a corrective action. But the challenge that we could have, I'm speaking about a chronic problem that it could appear every time frequently. So we don't spend the quality time to understand the root cause of this challenge, and just to understand all the contributed factors that we can work collaboratively together to just remove it and kill this problem. And people, they accept this. Most probably you'll see people, they accept this corrective. Yeah, as long as I solve it right now, I have no problem. It will appear again, I have no problem, but I need to move. And especially I'm talking, Shireen, in the I would say, speaking about manufacturing, and also Radu, and manufacturing excellence. You see that most people that inside, especially operations, you'll find them that If there is a breakdown inside the machine or something like that, they want to solve it quickly, and the same breakdown will appear again. Same breakdown will appear again. And when you see the total time lost during that time, and even the losses inside the efficiency or the OEE, you'll find that all of this, if we just have a quality time, understand the real root cause, we can solve this problem and unlock all of the I would say, constrained capacity and help the business. So I'm saying that spend more time on preventative actions rather than just corrective actions. This is my view.
I like what you're saying, and especially you see that a lot if you're under pressure of numbers, getting the numbers. So always the pressure is in the operation side or in the day-to-day, the tactical downstairs. They are doing the best to get the numbers, and even sometimes they will cut from the days of maintenance. They will be pressured to do all that, and the problems will occur the chronic problem. This is a chronic problem that will happen, but because the management, no, we cannot afford to miss a few days to make any maintenance or something. Oh, we will lose our monthly targets. No, don't do that. No. So this kind of problems we really face, and we've seen through our years of experience in corporate life. So I echo what you're saying. Yeah.
Thank you. Can we come back? I think sure, Shereen, come.
Go ahead,
But
Shereen,
by
yeah.
the way, you have many chronic problems. It's about setting what should be done first, okay?
Yes.
But if people come to this journey and they start the journey, they will be very happy to put all the problems on the table. So they start by resisting, and when the program starts or consultancy service is happening, you find everyone has a dream as if you will solve. It's like magic.
Yeah.
Everything will be sorted out, okay? So it's like you have always to sit and mediate on expectations, because people resist. But when management buys in and you start the program, if it's supply chain, if it's manufacturing excellence, if it's procure to pay, if it's end-to-end, whatever, then you face huge number of problems. And you become, you as consultant, trying to make them, hold on, let's set priorities. What should be done first before what? Because they are like, when it starts in companies, when we work and looking at chronic problems, we have learned from Supply Chain Council and Apex and ASCM, when we do it, that we get something called disconnects in the supply chain process.
Yeah.
And these disconnects, in average company, we get for per process 200 to 300 disconnects.
Wow.
And they are chronic, by the way. Okay? So it's interesting how people resist, and it comes like so much, you cannot do it all. Okay?
Yeah, of course. I think it will take us, I think, to the next question that we were talking about, is how to deal with the very tight time projects and very limited resources. Radu, it will take us, because the discussion of Shereen, he took us to the second question. So all this, suddenly you find you're bombarded with like a lot of requests and a lot of things, and you don't know what you should prioritize, and how do you deal with that with your clients?
Take a deep breath.
Yes.
And it's, as funny as it sounds, actually deep breathing does help us to clear the mind.
Yes.
But, beyond the very simplistic answer, I think we live in a world of parallel. Let's use an example. I was in the port of Barcelona a few weeks ago with one of my friends, and he was telling me, so he's the head of digital processes and automation globally for APM terminals, and he was telling me, like, look, Radu, we can do so much, right? To your points, like, to Shereen points. If I ask my staff in there, they're gonna say they automate the gate of the entries, because then you can get more trucks and more containers off, and then automate this, and then put in robots, and then this. But if I am to do this, I have to shut down the whole port. I have to shut down the whole port. That is obviously, it's a very costly operation, and I have to keep it shut for 3 months. This is not possible in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to get killed by my management, right?
Yes.
So this is, very practical example. And then he said, look, what I do, I was asking, so how do you do it? I take it per chunks, right? So I say, okay, this part of the port, right, let's segment it, 1/10 of it. let's do
Yeah.
project A. Let's see, right? First, if it works, if it doesn't work. Now, obviously, him being global, if it works, then it scales up not only in that particular port, but it can do, it would be scaled to other ports of the world as well. So number one, I would say prioritize.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's rocket science, right? But
Yes.
it has to have an order of priority. And it's also ideally that you identify that the piece with the highest level of impact in the shortest amount of time, right? So it's, you know, you can always do a ton of things, but some will have a lot more impact than others. So I think that's another aspect to master. We have to. And thirdly, I mean, managing these expectations that only some things will be able to be done, but as long as you focus on those one or two things that will make the most of impact, most return on investment, management will like it because they will always look at the return on investment. If they like it, they will give you more rope and more scope to do more things in the future, which most likely will be helpful and beneficial. And then, of course, the operations teams and the on the ground staff will like it because their day-to-day buy rights should be improved. So these are just some, I would say, basic things that come to my mind in answer to that question.
Yeah, I think that's a great one, Radu. What do you think about this, Shereen? You have a few points to add from your experience and about managing this tight time projects and all that. If you have some examples from your experience, you can share with us.
It's always tight time, and you always don't have resources.
Yes.
Come on.
It's never easy,
Management always want more and more, okay?
Yeah.
And they are in a rush. And what you should look at and be very smart in is time to value. That's what I have learned all the time.
Yes.
In all times, when I learned from my colleagues in South Africa and in Japan, when we started the journey of 20 keys and lean and improvement, they taught us two times. It's time to detect a problem and time to correct a problem, okay? But how long? So people wanted to be faster, okay?
Yeah.
Time to detect a problem, they wanted to be faster. So now what is happening is that you want to accelerate time to value. Management hate strategies, big things, big change, a 5 years plan. We will be best of the best. No. You switch them off the minute you talk about it, okay? So you need to engineer your way of change management. 1A4 plan, what will happen, milestones, and if they buy it, things will happen, okay?
Yeah.
So you need to think in a way that's smart, give them a value, time to value. Make use of existing technology. Consultants who come to a place and tell people what you're doing is wrong, forget about it. This should be done this way and that. No way. This is old. People will not wait for you for years to solve their problems. They want things that really are meaningful, okay? So linking it to KPIs, you are always short in resources and short in time. So you have to play smart, as Radu mentioned. Focus on what should get you return ROI now, and this should be the plantation or the plans for you to work in the future, okay? I like the meta slogan for everyone now. I was talking to our team. Our relationship with our clients is infinity, because we solve some things and we do another thing. After we solve it, we do another thing. Exactly as Dr. Radu mentioned. When you give value, you have really value in. And by the way, teaching people and playing on people's hearts and feelings and morale, I see in some companies people stay late with us as consultants, or some people work in weekends. I meet operators in factories whom I never met before, and they give me videos and tell me, come Shereen, see my factory. Some people in logistics, warehouse, I never met them. I don't even work with them. I just go there as a senior consultant. And this is the power of people. Most of the time, we underestimate power of people in the organizations, okay?
Definitely.
So a smart consultant can make use of the existing capabilities of people and teach them. Okay, please.
Definitely. No, what I will do, sorry, just for the technical glitch that I have, but for Radu, I listened to you and I listened to Shereen. So what I will do right now, I will give you just one combo thing.
Okay.
So thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. So just to not lose our audience, if you allow me, I will jump into our audience
Yes,
and send
please.
for them some greetings. So as usual, we have some challenges in the technical LinkedIn user. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you
LinkedIn
for
user,
joining us.
thank you. We have our friend Ligia. Hi, greetings to everyone. Interesting topic for today. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Ligia.
tuning in. Our friend Grant, Shereen is supply chain reality. Thank you so much,
Ah,
Grant.
thank you.
Our great friend.
That's
Thank you.
nice.
Yes. Our friend Lotfi. Hello, everyone. Thank you so
Hi,
much for
Lutfi. Thank you
tuning
for
in,
joining.
Lotfi. Our friend Yasser Abdelmanam. A good
Thank you,
discussion. Thank you
Yasser.
so much. Our friend Nisreen. Hi
Hi,
there. Nice to meet you.
Nasreen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank you for
joining
tuning
us
in. Yes, our friend Patrick. Uh, just
from
hello
Kenya.
from Agama, Kenya. Thank you so much for tuning in. And lastly, and we'll jump into the next, our friend Carla. It's true, people think symptoms. So I think that she's talking about the old discussion that we have about the problem, chronic
Yeah,
problem. So let me just speak with our audience. Feel free to ask whatever question into your mind to our lovely global thought leaders, Shereen and Dr. Radu, today. So the let's move a little bit into the next question, which is, I think one of the challenges that we have, it's managing the expectations for our clients at the beginning, especially when you go for a consultancy or when you have a problem. So how to manage expectations with projects, and especially partner, and especially the customers themselves from the beginning. When you have some projects at the beginning, how do you set the expectations to not be frustrated, whether yourself or the customer or any partner inside your organization?
Happy
So
to take,
feel
yeah,
free,
happy to
sure.
take this one because it feels close to home. I'm in the middle of I'm in the middle of a few of retuning this. So maybe let me first admit that personally I'm not the best at setting frames. So I need to rely on my team, because when it comes to setting contracts, now when I say contracts, it's not necessarily the written contract, but more like, okay, this is the agreement and this is the time frame. I tend to be a big picture person, and then that sometimes can end up in tears. So back to your contracting piece, and how do you make sure that the expectations are aligned? Well, firstly, they need to be very clearly communicated. So my mistake with one or two of the clients sometimes is that you kind of, or I thought that I know what, I, I what they want or what they needed, and I think I got that part quite well. But when you jump into it and you don't take the time to say, but by when, what exactly is the deliverable? I mean, very basic stuff, right? That
Mhm.
sometimes, I mean, I'm talking now specifically about an executive search project in the realm of recruitment, right? It's not necessarily management consulting, but it's in the realm of finding a senior executive. Then of course you end up in situations where they then call you after 1 week and say, hey, how come you didn't deliver? I'm like, wait, I mean, I didn't say I'm going to deliver in a week. So I would say that what I've learned over time is, one, this needs to be very clearly and to the detail and to the dot as much as possible.
yeah,
But sometimes you also start with something and then this scope creep, right? We all know about scope creep, or
yeah,
explosion of, well, Shereen mentioned, right, that all of a
yes,
sudden you open the hood and you look a little bit inside and you're like, holy moly, that's a lot of skeletons in the closet, right? So it's like, okay, Mr. Client, now you're paying this, now you don't expect me to fix everything to you. So I think this is a continuous fine tuning. I have learned to rely on the detail oriented people in my team to come up with the frameworks and align. But the fundamental value that I hold dear is, from the beginning, upfront communication, and that value of very direct and open communication with the client that we try to have, and say, look, are you okay? I mean, of course, asking for permission always, but in a very, again, basic way. Are you okay for us to tell you immediately as we have a problem, that we fine tune and realign? Because this will always happen. And usually it works, but again, the devil is in the details. And of course, if you have a scope creep or a scope reduction that is all of a sudden, I've had a friend of mine, not me, but I've had a friend of mine where there was a multi-million-dollar contract and the payment terms was 6 months, and then they were delayed another 6 months. I mean, that can bankrupt your business.
oh, yeah,
So it's, I don't know, I look forward to hearing from Shereen. She probably has some good examples, but I think it's a tricky one, and it needs a lot of care by detailed oriented people, not by people like me who who sometimes go too high.
Basically, for us, we always play on saving ROI. There is a clear KPI for us because it's a commitment from our company that every dollar we get, we should deliver $2 to $3 to $4 in return as minimum. Okay, so we have scope creep, as you mentioned. Okay. For my team, I always give clients many things more than we agreed. Okay. Because I personally believe we are selling effort, time, and man days to our customer. So whenever you are there, you'll see different problems. So it's good if you can spot something and give them that in return, okay? But it's very important, which I learned over the years, as Dr. Radu mentioned, you need to have a clear technical offer and deliverables. Walk it with your customer, okay? Agree on it that this is what will be delivered. The problem is always in estimation because we as consultants tend to think bigger, and sometimes we want the company to do things more than what they can actually do. They don't have the muscles to do it, or they don't have the time. So you want to improve forecasting error. Baseline forecasting accuracy is 50%. So some people say, let's make it 80%. You cannot make it 80%, okay? So we at Symbios, we have history of KPIs and measures.
Industries, maybe,
Yes, so we refer to it. So, and we relate everything to system. Like if you improve your supply chain score by this percent, because we learned that we should have something, make something intangible to be tangible. Meaning what? We have supply chain assessment maturity, 7 stages, and it's a score out of 100. We work it over the years. So we do baseline and we get them a score out like you are 30% out of 100. Okay? Don't tell me I want to be Amazon or I want to be like Zara. You will not. It takes you years. And here is the supply chain maturity level. So we cut, as for chronic problems, you slice and dice, which means you cut things and you deal with it. So you cut supply chain into supply chains. You assess the maturity. You have a baseline score and KPIs. And you work it with them. And you have to be very sure that you don't overpromise. I always tell my people, if I promise a customer, I will save you $5 million, and we saved 4.5, he will keep crying and angry about I didn't need the 5. But if since day one, I tell him I'll save you 1 million, and I save him actually 3, he's super happy, okay? So it's always about the ROI. It's about the KPIs. You have to be sure that you have a clear baseline for the company. We are suffering currently with one of the companies in a procure-to-pay process. They don't have baseline. And everyone wants improvement. And the CEO came and said, everyone is happy, but I want to see what is going on. Where are the measures? So we gave him a report. Baseline, not measured, not measured, not measured. Now, measured, and here is what you have. So it's not easy. It's not easy. But you have to be careful. If you are giving, you don't overpromise. It's a problem. Everyone likes to overpromise. And practicality in real life, it's not about the quality of the solution. It's about the quality of implementation of the solution. So that's what makes you have to be very careful when you promise. Okay?
Well said, Shereen, especially as we said, that depends on the company culture and depends on the company management that you are dealing with. And if they don't have history, as you said, and they don't have measurements, they never measured their work or something, it becomes more difficult for them to acknowledge that you did something or you did some improvement in the work. So I like what you said, Ahmed. You need to add anything, Radu? I
Definitely. I think that I cannot add anything after Shereen and Radu said. And just to summarize, it's all about, as Radu said, it's all about deliverables. So when you are clear about the deliverables from the beginning, before setting any expectations or anything, documenting everything with a clear timelines about it, which will not stress you or just stretch you at this point. So you should have a timeline for the project or the challenge that you'd have agreed with the timeline, measuring the performance, always following up on it. Definitely, I believe that allocating the right resources and following up with the right manner and the right scope itself. And as Shereen said, it's over promising itself. It makes us frustrated. So I would rather just to be neutral, see I know what I'm capable of doing it, just put little bit tolerance around it, up or down, and maneuver over it, but just don't overpromise. If you have a big fish, I would say, if you have a big fish, don't overpromise just to have this account, and so that maybe it will be devastating and it will ruin all what you have done in your past. So just be neutral and set the right expectation from the beginning. This is what I can just add.
Great. I think also it will take us to the next question, and I think Radu and Shereen, of course, all your customers, are they difficult or easy? And do you face like a really difficult customer that's never satisfied, or partners on project that are always complaining, or some people who are giving you a hard time, or saying that you're not doing your job perfectly, or do it in a different way, or they think that they are the consultants, or that you want to tell them, why did you even invite me to do consultancy, and they know everything. So tell us about some examples about that.
Basically, when we work, we invest a lot of time in setting the scope, and we have a rule of three. In Symbios, we have a rule of three.
Yeah.
Someone is the client account manager who's handling everything, doing the visits, following up on the measures and everything. Another one will support the customer, who will be supporting the main consultant. And a senior one who will be responsible for change management and handling leadership. Okay? Because sometimes people don't see things, and sometimes they see it, but they don't like top management to see it. Okay?
Yeah.
So my first rule with top management is always don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we agree with top management that we will not shoot people who come and confront and admit that they have problems. This is number one, okay?
Yeah.
When we focus on change management, we focus on meetings and measures and KPIs. Yes, some people resist and complain, of course, but when you are doing your work, their colleagues will take good care of them. But you will always have resistance. You will always have... So you have to keep balance, okay? And it's always good that you have a team working with the customer, not one person, because this team help each other, okay? And you try to raise the bar. So when someone is trying to tell you, we have this, we have it, okay, come on. It's instead, in old days, we used to be offended by these things. But now, no, just come on, great. Show me what you do. Let me help you to improve it. And you should win people, okay? You as a consultant, you are not there to criticize people and tell them what are their problems without solutions.
Yes.
You are there to help people to be part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. And one of our strategies is that when we do the assessment, we show them that everyone is wrong. They are all part of the problem. So the whole company needs them to work together to improve to a different level. So we don't take sides. We show them by fact the problems. We show them the to be or the desired state and the savings and impact, and we take them with us in the journey. But you always will have resistance. It's okay.
Yes, part of life. Yes. Radu, tell
okay.
us about. Yeah. Yes, you have to accept it. Tell us about one of any of the examples of difficult customers.
I'll go more provocative on this one because it's just
without mentioning names.
Anyways, but, and also, okay, but before I go there, let me frame a few things, right? So we are not in supply chain consulting per se, right? So the projects that if you go and sign a 2-year or 1-year contract, I mean, it's a lot less possible to do what I'm going to say that we would do in the case of where you have a project that is executive search or or you work on an organizational development project that is a shorter term, or training and development, which is a shorter term, right? So again, depending on the complexity, this may or may not be possible. But I'll go to the bad client, right, scenario, or the angry client, or the client that always complains and always. And let's just work on the assumption that the client is not right. Right? Okay, if the client is right and it's screwing up, now, okay, you own it and you fix it, right? But let's just work on the assumption that sometimes clients are unreasonable. I think it's a fair assumption, for everybody. We've all come across unreasonable clients, right? So I think we've all been there. So number one, the client is always right. I call bullshit. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's just I don't know who came up with that. Like, the client is always right. Why? Some clients are stupid, like literally stupid. Like, they're not right. So I mean, if the client is unreasonable, I don't think you just need to sit there and say, yes, Mr. Client, let me let me see what I can do. You need to have an open discussion and say, look, what do you base it on? What are your facts? This is the facts. It doesn't match, right? So I mean, if they continue, then okay, we have a significant issue, right? So that's when going back to the basics and the initial deliverables plays an important part, and then you actually need to go to the black and white sometimes if it gets to that unreasonable scenario, and say, look, I mean, this is. So that's one aspect. So the client is not always right, and if the client is not right, I think it is just a fair and open relationship. It's the only way a partnership would work if you tell them. I mean, that's why they pay us as consultants, right? To tell them the truth, including when they're wrong. Now, what we also have done in the past is, the 80-20 Pareto, and sometimes it's like 80% of your 80% of your revenue.
Magic. It's a magic law. Yes.
Yeah, it's a magical formula. It works most of the times. It's even more so, right? That sometimes you have 10% of your clients give you 90% of your revenue.
Yeah.
And it also applies when 10% of your clients give you 90% of the headache. so simple maths, right? Identify who is that 10% of your clients, right?
Yes.
Cut it. Like, literally, we have done that. Like, look, this is not going anywhere. It's always specific example for obviously we organize summits and events and that, right? There's one or two, right? Out of usually you have 20 sponsors or something. There's one or two that always complain everything is wrong. Like, you need to stand on your head. Something's gonna be like, but why are you coming? Like, literally, like I think, and they keep coming every event, and after a while I just told them, don't ask them to come anymore. Like
cut them out.
Like, we are trained. They always complain. Why should you put yourself in that? So I think, at some point, and again, it's not straightforward, and I'm making it sound too simplistic, but really the pain and the time and the just mental energy to deal with that 10% of client that is just a pain is not worth it. Let it go. And
draining. It's draining.
Focus on finding good clients that will not give you headache and that are reasonable. So these are some of, the client is not always right. I would say spirit of open and honest discussion always, and be bold to cut clients that are giving you and are taking away too much energy and are always unreasonably complaining.
Yeah. I think these are great points.
If you have to end it, but you need to end it in a professional way.
Yeah.
You cannot just walk away. You have to find an exit way.
Agree. Of course, that even if the client is sometimes there is problems or something. Yeah, of course, if you are going to exit from some kind, there is an exit strategy and how to close or go out of these clients. But as Radu is saying, sometimes it's draining energy. So yeah, maybe next time I don't know how Radu's experience more in this kind of summits and all that. How do you exit something like you said, someone is really giving you a hard time? So next time, how you just don't invite, or you just tell them how do you deal with it? Yeah,
that's why I try to
professionally
give a little bit of context, because of course a lot of the more complex the deal, you end up in lawsuits. And my wife was she was working for a large technology company. They rewired the infrastructure of a hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a $10 million lawsuit. The
Wow.
hospital sued. I mean, this kind of stuff you can't just say, look, I mean, you guys.
Yeah, you
then
can
end up
just
in
walk
court.
out. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
of course, when it's that's why I tried to. When it's more simplistic, I mean, for us, it's very straightforward. If this happens, and what we might do, I mean, we have done. We just simply do not. I mean, we honor their commitment for that particular. I mean,
Sure.
contract, and we do not enter another discussion, even if they may want to sponsor again. We say, look, thank you very much, but look, it's not worked out for us in the past, or you were not happy. Obviously, let's leave it at that. So.
Yeah.
You just don't do it again, even if the money is good, basically, because the cost versus return, right? Money is one thing, right? And revenue is one thing, but the hassle and the noise
I agree.
generated just usually is not worth it. Two, if you can't just exit. I mean, again, no, absolutely good point, Shereen. You can't just walk away and say, look, I'm just packing my bags, go fly kite. Okay. No, you can't do that. It's unprofessional.
Yes.
But all contracts have clauses, right, that stipulate, look,
Yeah.
based on this, and we should always, I mean, as a matter of professional courtesy to
Yes,
ourselves.
sometimes yes. You need to revisit the scope. You need to set a meeting. What are your expectations? You keep changing what you want, but you cannot, as I said, because you have a contract. So you need to meet once and two and three times. Yes, there are bad customers, but honestly, sometimes because of misunderstanding and because of a person in the company, maybe this person leaves and the customer comes back to you again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it that Shireen, that you're saying you must keep open doors always with your customers. Sometimes it's personal, or sometimes someone is giving bad reputation to a company. So just leave the door not firmly closed. Sometimes it can bring you back opportunities.
And there's
see,
another aspect,
yeah,
just to throw
tell
it
me.
in there, and there was
Yeah.
mentioned briefly with the team, but usually in these things, and again, depending on the organization, how complex and how hierarchical it is, but it's always, no matter what, actually, it's always good to bring a second, right? Whether it's the boss of the person or whether
Yeah.
it's, I mean, navigating a little bit the political and power map of the organization, it's always good to bring somebody else or that is less emotional, because at some point these things can get, I mean, we like to think that we're
Emotional.
professional, but at some point we're humans, right? So we're
Yes.
more, emotions can get the better of us. So just diffusing it, and the same in our team, right? Maybe somebody else can step in if we're too hung up on it, or we can act as that mitigator for somebody else. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? But it's
Sometimes you change the consultant because it doesn't, something is happening politically. It's a good strategy. Sometimes customers just are complaining, and they feel like they lose focus on the main service because of some personal issues. As Dr. Radu mentioned, we are human beings. So sometimes it's good to change the consultant, because it's a pressure on your consultant to deal with an unhappy customer.
Yes. Definitely, I like all the comments coming from you guys, and the answers. And I think we have the first question here from one of our great guests, Dr. Lab Singh. He's saying, with kind of technology dominance in organizations and high rate of obsolescence, do we still need a multitude of control levels? I feel that team like clusters are enough with more horizontal and less vertically. So what do you think, Radu or Shereen, if you want to take this question about technology obsolescence, and do we still need a multitude of control levels in organizations with technology dominating in organizations and some technologies going outdated and all that?
Maybe I'll give it a step first, Shereen. So I mean, I think the honest answer is it depends. I mean, the easy answer is yes, it should be like that. And I mean, my gut reaction is to say, look, I'm all for less control and more empowerment to the teams, and less levels. And I think most teams are kind of going into that, and most organizations are trying. But again, look, we did a program for a company called Vopak. Vopak is the largest. They own this liquid gas, and it's more like chemical storage. They do chemical storage. Right? They're the largest in the world. They store oil and so on.
Okay.
Now, a mistake, and the CEO actually gave us an example, right? So we were supposed to do a value training, and they were trying to aim for disciplined entrepreneurship. So maybe to the
Yeah.
point of the question, right? Disciplined entrepreneurship, to me, it sounded stupid. Like, I mean, what do you mean? You can't be an entrepreneur. Like, what is this? So before we had to conduct the workshop, we were puzzled, right? Myself, my consultant, the main trainer, and we asked the CEO, what do you mean? Like, how do you want us to teach this or to share this with people? And he said, look, let me give you an example. In our world, and this mistake actually happened because somebody, somebody pulled I don't know this, anyways, whatever you call that thing, the valve, right? And
Yeah.
filled the tank, one of this, with the wrong. Actually, it wasn't clean. So the mistake was made was that it wasn't cleaned, and then he put the oil on top of another chemical and basically spilled. I mean, it was ruined. It was a $7 million mistake. His point was, look, we are all for making mistakes, but I wouldn't want that all my operators start playing with the valves, right? Because it's very costly mistakes. So. And there's a lesson in there, because we asked him, so did you fire the guy? And his response was, what? I just invested $7 million in his training. I didn't fire him. I just told him to be more careful. So, which I thought that was a brilliant lesson in management, actually.
Yes.
But that aside, so back to the point and the question, right? So that's why I say it depends, because yes, in a lot of things, I would say is the logical thing to do. Give empowerment to the teams, let them make the decisions, and don't go too hierarchical. However, there's industries and industries, there's consequences and consequences of actions, and of course, maybe in the case of OPEC, there has to be some quality control somewhere in there, because otherwise you can end up making some very serious,
very costly mistakes. Yeah. Yeah, Shereen, what do you think about that, about the controls and having, and I think it's about also like micromanagement and all that, and with the changes of some technologies and obsolescence of some other technologies. What do you think of this kind of
I think
levels?
Conceptually, it should be, the answer should be yes, conceptually, but in reality, its problem comes from management, because with these advances in technology, management don't understand technology. We were talking once about people talking about Industry 4.0 and industries and supply chain 4.0, and everything is happening. And they're complaining about their people don't have the right skills, and we need to upskill our people and reskill them to be able to work for these companies. But my debate is, do management themselves
understand what's Industry 4.0?
No. So how can you lead the ship, go spaceship, and you cannot drive a car? Okay?
Exactly.
So most of management are old-fashioned. They don't spend enough time in learning. So they need to be leadership 4.0 to help companies, because there was a statistic saying that many leaders in US say they're finished, and this is going forever. So yes, with the technology, everything should be autonomous. It's not because of span of control. It's because the process is smart and it will take good care of itself. The machine is smart. Logistics, smart. Everything, procurement, everything is smart. So it should be when the process is autonomous and smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I think you're right. Usually, like management, for example, like I always say it in ERPs, for example, and if you have the systems, you want to advance, and you're not fully using or utilizing the ERP in hand, for example, for any ERP. So you're having, like you said, you're having a Ferrari and you're like driving or riding a camel or something like that. So first make use of what's in hand, then try to apply the new technologies. And I feel sometimes it's like some kind of fashion, or people like hear about these some kind of things and look at big companies applying this, so they are trying to follow the trend. But still, you're not mature enough, or your organization is not mature enough. So make use first of the technologies that you have in hand, then you can go. It's a journey. You cannot like fly to the moon right away. So I totally agree with you, Shereen, of course, and Radu. It's great answers to the topic, and thank you, Dr. Lapsing, for sharing this great question with us. So it will take us also to what do you think the skills or behaviors do we believe a consultant needs to be successful in the industry? Is there some kind of ethical considerations also consultant must have? And tell us about that from your experience. We start with Radu or Shereen, whoever wants to go first.
I'll let Shereen this time.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead,
first skill
Yeah.
you need to learn is flexibility, agility,
Great. Yeah.
willingness to learn, because
Yeah.
every company has its own stories, its own culture, its problems. So you
Yeah.
cannot act like one size fits all.
Yes.
Okay? So you need to learn. You need to learn about the industry. You need to speak their language. You need to understand their problems. Not just give them off-shelf solution, come and have this. It will
Yeah.
never work like this. So as a consultant, you need first to be more human, because it's
Yeah.
about people. And if
Yes.
people don't buy your solution, forget about it. Okay? So
Yeah.
you need to understand, have the right analytical skills, because it's all about solving chronic problems. You can't
Yeah.
solve a chronic problem by just a quick win. Okay? You need to learn all the time and understand what are the best practices for each industry, and of course supply chain. You talk about manufacturing excellence, and you develop yourself. And mainly as a consultant, I learned a lot this. I trained myself to fall in
Yeah.
love with the problem, not in love with the solution. Because as
Okay, that's
Ahmed
good.
mentioned, our solution, yes, I know how to solve your problem. No. Me as a consultant, I should be agnostic. I don't
Yeah.
force them to do this because I'm convinced about it. Okay? No. I should fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. Why? Because my solution or our solution, when we work with any company, it's not complete unless the team implements it and
Yeah.
trims it and makes
Yes.
it refined. We come up with ideas. We help people
Yeah.
to think. So as a consultant, we work on 5 things. First is people, what you should look at people, skills, what's going on. Help people to solve the process. So we take people and process together. Because
Yeah.
if you bring in the best process in place and no one can implement it, forget about it. It's a nice report, okay? So people, process, then management, how you can make management happy by governance, setting the right KPIs, how you look at the process, how you make it smart, and use technology and technology management and change management. So me, for any consultant, tells them you have to work on the 5. People, process, governance, technology, and change management. That's how you become a successful consultant. And never fall in love with the solution. Fall in love with the problem. Okay? That's for me.
Great, Shereen.
Inspiring.
Yes, yes, that's great.
Not
Radu.
a lot to add to that. Brilliantly said.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Maybe I'll tackle the second part.
Yeah.
The ethics. Yeah.
The ethics, yeah.
Just I mean, just as a thought that came, because we have seen quite a few, and not to name, but the bigger ones for sure have always been involved in such things. It's like the banks as well, right?
Yeah.
When it's almost every year that there's some big bank that is involved in significant money laundering operations or drug cartel, or because there's somebody down the chain. I mean, it's not necessarily that the whole bank is crooked, but that there's some people in the bank that did the wrong things, right? Same with consulting companies, because when you work on such a plethora of, especially the big ones, right? And you work on such a plethora of clients, you're bound to hit some shady, let's call it shady, right? Whether there's been work with governments, whether there's been work with pharmaceuticals or tobacco, or there's a number of such cases. So I think just the ethical consideration is I mean, very basic. Like, is this the right thing to do? Like, do you
Yeah.
really want, would you be proud to tell your kids that you helped an arms manufacturer increase productivity? Like, really, I mean, okay, I mean, again, everybody has a purpose in this world, but I'm saying that, one, it's never been more important. Well, it's never been easier for people to see through, as well as find out information, as well as for these kind of things to come to the public eye. Secondly,
Yes.
such reputational damage can basically ruin a work, I mean, a life work of building. I mean, you can, I think Warren Buffett said that, right? That you work your life to build a reputation and you can ruin it in a few seconds. So I
Yes.
would just want to bring the perspective that, and look, we've also seen Glasgow, there's been some steps forward there, but then in the space of sustainability per se, there's so much greenwashing going on where everybody wants to brag that they're doing a lot when in actual fact it's fairly little, right? So all I'm saying is, from this angle, and just on the topic of ethics, let's keep things real. Let's,
Yeah.
really try to do the good thing. I mean, I like the credo of Google, right? Don't do evil, right? So I think that's something to that extent, right? I mean, I do hope they're still holding to that. But I think as consultants, we should always, and we should always work on projects that we can be proud of, and we can tell our kids, look, I am proud to tell you that I worked and helped this particular company do better.
Yeah.
You can't say that, maybe don't do it.
I think you're right, and it's part of your job also as a consultant to do due diligence of who you are dealing with, who is your client, and that's part you accept or you don't accept based on their reputation in the market, and as you said, it's about authenticity, about transparency. Anything now you can do, it's you can ruin your reputation in seconds, as you said, and you build a lot of trust, or you build a company for years, and suddenly it can be ruined for something that is wrong, something wrong, or you did something wrong. And like you said, I love the slogan of Google also. So guys, it's we're crossing an hour, and of course we can go hours and hours in this amazing panel with us, and years and years of experience between Radu and Shereen in consultancy. And thank you, of course, to all our audience. Of course, great comments from Carla, and of course we apologize a little bit for our audience. We had some difficulties today, technical difficulties for our co-host Ahmed, but we covered the questions we got from Dr. Lad and Carla. Thank you so much for a lot of Carla Wolf, a lot of great comments. So it's one of the comments she's saying, "Fall in love with the problem, precisely what I do with all my emotions. The fast track to emotional intelligence." So thank you, Carla, for this nice comment. And thank you for everyone who joined us. Ahmed, I think now,
thank you. If you can hear me, guys, I hope.
Yes.
I hope that you can
Yeah.
hear.
Yes.
I cannot see you till now, but I can hear you. So we are now not broadcasting, but it's podcasting. So let me firstly just excuse me for the technical glitch that I had today. But definitely, I tried to listen on LinkedIn, not in the stream itself, about
This
what's
is, and
happening.
I'd like to say, Ahmed, this is part of course, and we all did podcast. I think Shereen also did a lot of live events and all that. So this is part of life now, living in this COVID era. It's part of life that you get glitches and get bad customers or bad communication issues, like Radu was saying. So I think we managed.
Very good. You manage your risk very well, because you both have prepared well and you fill in for each other. So this is an amazing example of mitigating risk.
Yes. Thank you, Dr.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
I love
Thank
it.
you so much.
Guys,
Thank you
great
so
job.
much.
It's a pleasure hosting you, and we would like to thank you for your valuable insights. Literally, I listened too many about what you're saying, and I think it's changing many things in my mind and my life. I do believe also the same for our audience. So again, we would like to thank you for your valuable time, amazing insights, and for being in our show. And hopefully that we can have another episode that we can reveal more and more about your experience. So thank you again. And I do apologize for the technical glitch that I have today. Hopefully that we can have
It's
another
okay.
episode today. To
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Radu. Thank you, Shireen.
Thank
Thank you to
you.
our audience. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Radu.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Shereen.
Thank you.
Thank you.